My father was a very sensitive man and always tried to make everyone happy, despite what his own feelings were. He always tried to make people laugh, even though his jokes were always corny and sometimes didn't make sense. He didn't care what people thought of him because he felt that as long as he had people who loved him, and he had people to love, then he couldn't be happier in life. He went out of his way to make people happy no matter what. He always knew what to say to me to make me happy, and he always showed me how proud he was of my brother and I. I have never met a better man, and I wish more people could be like him. He was determined, polite, holy, and gentle. He valued the presence of loved ones and always took time out of his day to try to spend time with them. I remember the times we would play Scrabble and Catopoly, and it would get so competitive that we would just give up because I always won. The times we played Yellow Car and I beat him like 50,000 times, but we still played it because it was our thing. The memories of hunting with him are memories I could never forget. The first time I hunted, when I shot the gun, we went to look to see if I hit it, and I didn't. But that didn't matter because I actually saw a deer and had the thrill of attempting to shoot it, with my dad being right by my side. I went out every day after that because I knew my father would be proud of my determination and my drive to get us a deer. He was the one that taught me how to be determined and prideful in many other areas other than hunting, like cheerleading and track and field. I remember the times I drove him places when I got my permit. I drove us everywhere, and he loved it because we could spend time together. I loved our father-daughter bonding at the mall, Barcelona Beach, and Erie. He taught me so many valuable things in life that I will always remember. He taught me to not shoot the pastor with a paper clip and rubber band, never cut someone off while you're driving, or they will get out and chase you down with a baseball bat, or throw Chinese on your windshield. Never skip school to go to the gorge and try to race back without the principal finding out. And never smoke. These important life lessons come from some of the best stories I have heard. One story he told me taught me a very valuable lesson. Always treat people with respect, and always be decent to them because you never know if they will be there the next day. There has been no one in my life other than my dad to try to show up at every cheer competition, track meet, or event that I have had, or craft show that I have done. He always put in effort to do things with me, like hunt, fish, build a compost bin, make a garden, go four-wheeling, play board games, watch movies, spend time with Talia, and go to the Chinese restaurant, and then just sit and be lazy. He was the one person that I would always drop whatever I was going to spend time with because he always made me feel loved and happy. Although he had to make sure he asked if my homework was done first, of course. My favorite interactions with him was when something hilarious happened or was said, like one time we got on the topic of crusty socks for some reason. And I was trying to tell him I was eating the crunchy fries, but I said, I am eating all of the crunchy socks. After that, every time we had fries, he would call them crunchy socks. Times like those were the best because there were no other cares in the world other than our hilarious word flubs. I have to say, the best memory I have was when he wrote me a list of his favorite Bible verses when he was in the hospital. I remember feeling lost and depressed when he was in there, but when I read the verses, I felt hope, and I was happy because I realized that even when we would no longer be around, I would still feel his unconditional love. I have kept the list of verses in my wallet ever since, and I read it whenever I get lost and upset. My favorite part of the day was that every morning before school he would tickle my feet to wake me up, and before he left for work he would kiss my forehead and give me a hug. He very rarely left for work or went to bed without telling me he loved me. I loved his hugs because I felt comfort and love. He was such a gentle person, even though he was physically tough. His embrace was gentle and warm, always showing me how much he cared, even without having to speak. I remember all of the times I would be a medic for him. When he got splinters or cuts at work, he would have me fix them and bandage the wounds. It was another one of our things. I admire him and would still do it to this day. He lived every day to the best he could and tried to be the best person he could. I value the loving relationship I shared with him, and I know he is still here to this day, in my heart. He was very intelligent, wise, and caring. He cared so much about other people that he rarely focused on himself. He was such a great man and a perfect father. I would never have wished for a different father because no other man could ever be as great as he was. My father and I had so many great memories that I could talk about for hours on end. I know he is in heaven right now, fulfilling his duty. And I just want to say how proud I am to be able to call this man my father. Now, as you could tell, this eulogy I wrote was actually from high school. And when I was my senior year, that's when he started getting worse. And it was a grade, and I had to read this in front of everyone, but I read the first sentence and instantly started crying and could not finish reading it. Back in 2014, just the mere thought of even having to read a eulogy was too much. But now, sadly, it is real, and it's still too much, but I don't want to leave anything unsaid, and he was the best man ever, and he was so strong, even though he was fighting so hard. And he cherished and loved his grandkids. And Thad and I and Amber and Jake and all of the loved ones. And everyone, and he was just put everyone before himself, and I love that. And I just really look up to him. And now he is not suffering. And now he can be everyone's guardian angel and look after everyone.